again. So coming up to standing. Come a little bit further forward. Right, so starting with the right leg. So you can stand on the left leg. You're going to bring the right leg just off the ground, or the right foot just off the ground. So just checking in with balance. Everything else wants to be kind of chilled out and relaxed. The knee comes across the body, up towards the chest, out in a big circle. I'm going to turn it in at that point. So lifting the foot up, turning the knee in. You want to keep it going behind you. So I'm getting as much into extension as I can, reaching it back and then bringing it back through. So it's just the biggest circle you can manage, yeah? So we come up, we can turn it out at this point as it comes around. It turns in as it starts to go behind and back through. So across, sweeping it out, turning it in and back through. And the whole idea would be to, as best as you can, keep your body relatively still. So the circle's just coming from the hip as best we can. We're just going to do one more across, out, up, around, in, back, and finish. And then switch to the other side. So same thing, going to just lift it off the floor, just check in with your balance first. Just pause for a moment. Everything else nice and relaxed, hopefully. And then across, been tickling me. Turn it out as you pick it up and around. Turn it in as it goes back behind. Same again, it comes up, out, big circle around and behind. Up, turn it out, turn it in. There'll be some movement in your body and the other leg and the pelvis and all the rest of it, and that's okay. Try to get as much movement as you can at the hip. Last one. Nearly lost it. And they give your legs a little bit of a twirl or a jiggle just to release some tension. And then coming down onto the mat and coming to tall kneeling, just for a change of position. So we're going to start with some neck circles. You're going to clench your fists or make fists with your hands. You want to keep the tension in your hands and reach your fists down your thighs. So I'm actively taking my shoulders down away from my ears and really kind of trying to anchor them there. So got a little bit of tension in my glutes. I'm creating tension under my armpits, really squeezing the fingers. And from there, you're going to take your chin to your chest. You're going to tilt the head or take your chin across to your right shoulder. Then tip your head back like you're pouring something out of your ear behind you. Take the head slowly back, looking up at the ceiling. Tip something out of your ear over your left shoulder. Chin drops down to your collarbone and then comes back to center. We're going to reverse. You want to really keep that tension in the fist, keep pulling the shoulders away from the ears. So chin to chest, chin to left collarbone, tip something out of your ear over your left shoulder. Keep going with the head, back and around, tipping something out of the right shoulder or over the right shoulder out the ear. Chin to collarbone and back through to center. And again, to the right, back, ceiling, tipping something out of the ear to the left, chin to collarbone and around. One last time, left, back, ear over shoulder, chin to collarbone and round. And you're going to take your hands out. So my arms are, straight out at the shoulders, if you like. They're not in a Y shape, and they're not dropping down. They're going to stay there. So the arm bones themselves don't move. You've still got the tension in your glutes and you squeeze in. So it's a shoulder blade motion. So we're going to shrug the shoulders to the ears. You're going to take the shoulders together at the back, shoulder blades, I should say, drop them down, and then circle them around to the front. So it's just a backward circle, yeah? Up to the ears, shoulder blades together, down your back, and then shoulder blades forward, wrapping them around like you're trying to hug a big beach ball. Up to the ears, shoulder blades back together, shoulder blades down, shoulder blades wide. So you're trying to get that movement. So Charlotte, can you see how your arms are coming together here? Yeah, arms stay put. The movement, so it's like your rhomboid push-up. If you imagine your rhomboid push-up, you're just trying desperately to do that without letting your arms move. Massive shoulder blade circles. It looks like your arms are moving because your arms are attached. But in reality, the movement is just coming from the shoulder blades at the back of the body. That looks better. Then can you reverse? I find this one so hard. So I'm kind of going shoulder blades back, up to the ears, forward and down, shoulder blades together, up to the ears, forward and down, back, up, forward, down, back, up, forward, down. One last time, back, up, forward and down. It's harder than it looks. You know, this is a doddle, isn't it? It's dead easy when you're kind of just circling your shoulder blades. You can do that as well, by the way. Just give them a jiggle if you need to. Release some tension. All right, so we're just coming back to, we did this morning in the strength session, which I didn't record, Charlotte, so I'm rubbish. But you get the chance to do it again, or some of it anyway. So a little bit of kneeling or all four hip work. So we're going to start off with circles again. So all fours, bring your left knee into center, so it gives you a bit of support. And then you're going to start just circling the right leg. And I'm doing it fairly quick at the moment. I'm just kind of getting some movement. I'm not overly concerned about hitting any major sort of mobility points here. Just getting some movement into the leg, and then reverse your circle round the other way. And then we're going to switch sides. So same thing again, bring the right leg a little bit closer to midline, and then circle with the left. Trying to keep your right leg as vertical as you can, and the rest of the body as stable as you can. A little bit of movement's okay. Make it all nice and controlled. And then reverse your circles. And then come back to center. And you could go a little bit narrow with the knees, like I said, because we're going to be working both legs anyway. And from there, going to take your right knee or right leg, keep it the same shape, 90 degrees, and then lift it out to the side as far as it will go without your pelvis moving, yeah? And then bring it back down. So check in with your left leg. Your left leg or your left thigh should be vertical. You take the right leg out to the side as far as it will go without the pelvis tipping or the leg tipping. So you see what you've got, hold it there, and then see if you can wring out a little bit more. Can you lift it a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, and then slowly release back down. Same again, we're going up to the side. Keep your left leg vertical. Don't let it tilt over to the side. Lift a little bit higher if you can. A little bit higher. Teeny tiny bit higher. And then slowly release back down. Same again, one more. Out to the side, the leg stays still. What have you got? Lift it a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher. And then slowly take it down. And then we're going to switch sides. Turn side or front on so you can kind of see what I'm up to. So same thing again. I'm checking in with my right leg, making sure it stays absolutely still. So take my leg out. And then I'm going to see if I can go a little bit higher with the left leg. Will it go any higher? And then slowly back down. So we're taking it to your end range as far as you can go. And then you're just seeing if you can wring out a little bit extra, a little bit extra, and then release down. One last time, out to the side, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and release back down. Moving on to a little bit more of a challenge. Going back to the right leg. So same thing again, your pelvis will move this time. There's no getting away from it. Yeah, so do the best you can to hold yourself as stable as possible. But we're going to go out to the side with the leg. Going to wring it out as high as you can. And then we're going to straighten the knee. Now, the thing is, you don't want your thigh bone to move forward or back. So you're going to straighten the knee, take your leg out to the side. I'm going to pause. You're going to bend it back in, and you're going to lower it back down. So again, from the front, right leg comes up to the side first, and bring it out a little bit more as far as you can. Then without moving your thigh bone, you're just straightening your knee. Keeping it as high as you can, bend the knee and lower it back down. One more time, up to the side, high as you can, straighten the knee, bend the knee, lower it back down, and then we're going to switch sides. So same again on the left, up to the side, bring it out, straighten the leg, bend the knee, lower it down. Up as far as you can. We get to that end range, and then we challenge it, we challenge it, we challenge it, we straighten the leg, and we bend, we bend, we bend, and we lower, and we do one more, up to the side, get as far as you can, straighten, 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 bend, 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 lower, 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 and then just come off your wrist for a moment, just give them a twirl, mainly because me and Nick have definitely been on our wrists a lot this morning. Wrist relief position if you need it, back of the hands together, heeling the elbows down. So we've got quite a lot of hip stuff today. Yeah, with it being the last one, we're kind of at that point where we need to add on the strengthy bit. So mobility, we talk about passive flexibility and active mobility. So on that basis, we're going to come to our 90-90. Now I'm going to choose on purpose, because I never choose this option, I'm going to choose to do my rubbishy side first, my slightly less than awesome side. So this is my slightly less than awesome side with my right leg out in front. Yours might be the opposite, but if you always choose to go the way that feels good first, try the other way. So we're just getting into 90-90. We're just seeing how it feels. Again, you kind of at the end ranges of your hip mobility usually in this position. So you can have a wiggle about. And when we drop that back hip down to the mat, when we actively try and sink it, that's about as far into internal rotation that you're going to get with that back leg. That's what you've got, right? So when you sink your back hip down, it kind of feels like you've stopped. There isn't any more. That's true, right? It's called end range. That's it. That's what you've got at the moment. You can get some more, but that's what we've got, right? So in order to move from here, we're going to need to lift the hip up slightly. Yeah. So I'm always getting you to drop the hip. For now, I want you to lift the hip up slightly, and you may need to lean out of it because we're just going to lift this back leg up. So we're just practicing the lift. So I'm lifting the back hip away from the floor slightly. I'm leaning away from that leg so that I can just lift it off the floor. Now, if I lean away a lot, my leg comes up, like pops up, no problem at all, right? Doddle. So you want to be as upright as you can, but still be able to get your leg off the floor. Just room to slide a piece of paper underneath. Yeah, really hard work. And then lower back down. We go again, we lift and release. And lift and release. One more time, lift and release. Now we're going to give that back leg a break for a moment. I'm going to work with the front leg, just try and get my ankle on my mat so it's not crippling me. So as 90-90 as you can be, you're going to bring the hands down somewhere around the foot and the knee so that your chest is straight over your front leg. Yeah, that's the angle that we're after. And I want you to press your knee and your ankle down into the mat. So you're actively pressing this entire shin from knee to ankle down into the mat. Press, press, press. Actively pressing. As much weight down through that as I can. Keep pressing. And you're going to back off the press, so you're no longer pressing down, and you're going to take your chest forward over that front leg. Now you're pulling yourself down. You get wherever you get to, keeping the chest up and the back straight. And then the same thing, I'm pressing knee, shin, ankle down into the floor. So I'm actively pressing down, just holding my body position, but I'm pressing down with the leg all the way from knee to ankle. Now you should feel the glute at the back doing that work because it's the hip muscles, glutes, lots of other stuff as well, but all helping you press down, down, down. And then back off that press, so you're relaxing the muscles at the back, and then just taking your chest a little bit lower, if it will. And holding just nice and easy, wherever you've got to. And then slowly walk the hands back or up or in or wherever you've got to so that you come back up to whatever this is, vertical-ish. So from there, like on this side, I'm struggling a little bit to stay upright. I'm just going to bring my legs in a touch, just so that I'm a bit more upright rather than feeling a bit like I'm all compressed. So if you need to do that, do that. If you're okay where you are, that's great. And then this time you're going to bring your hands across your chest. So while you're here, I want you to lean back and lift your front leg off the floor. And it'll feel like it's welded down, yeah? You can feel this musculature on the inside of the leg doing the work to lift that leg up as best it can, right? Then this time I want you to press the leg down, glue it down, and feel those muscles actively pulling you forward. So it's like I'm pinning it, it's like my leg's glued, but I'm lifting it towards me, and that in turn brings me forward. There's a lot more work in the hip, that's all. So when you've not got your arms to rest on, it becomes a lot of work into the glute and the hip. We could make it harder. We could go hands behind head. We could go arms up, but I'm being kind of generous. So I'm leaning into it. I am leaning into it, but it's active because this leg is doing some work. And then back off, and you can release the arms so you can take your weight again. So we're going to come back to our, what's this called? Back leg. Going back to our back leg. So same thing, if you need to lean away from it, you can, because what we're going to do now is we're going to try and pick the ankle up and the knee stays down. So we're internally rotating the thigh bone. So I'm lifting, trying to wring it out again, and then lowering. Lifting the foot and lowering back down. The further away I go, the more in I'm going to get. So again, you just want to be able to just get off the floor. So I'm nearly end range, nearly at the very end of what I can do. And then I'm challenging it just by getting the foot off the floor, an inch, if that. So lift, hold, and lower. And the thing your body will cheat with is it will lift this front knee up. As you turn, you'll get light on this front leg. So see if you could push your front knee down and then pick up your ankle. All of a sudden, it becomes a little bit more challenging. We're going to do one more. And then pause. And again, just if you need to wiggle or just twist or rotate, just to kind of ease off any tension, that's fine. Or get your legs out. Then we're going to go back to our lifting. So same thing again, wherever you need to lean away in order to get your entire leg off the floor. You're going to hold it there. The knee stays still, just like we have been doing. You're going to straighten the knee, bend it back in, lower it down. Lift, straighten, bend, release. Lift, straighten, bend, release. And each time I'm kind of just shuffling that a little bit more upright to make it more challenging every time. I'm literally just clearing the floor. Let's go one more. Up, out, bend, and release. And we're just going to take that leg into external rotation. So keeping the ball of the foot down on the left, if it is your left, your back leg. Who's trying to get in? Bear with me 1 second. Oh, Nick lost herself. That was hard work, getting up off the floor with my legs in that position. Where were we? Okay, so we're back to our 90-90. So the back leg, you're keeping the ball of the foot on the floor. You're going to turn the back knee up to the ceiling and turn it down. You all right, Nick? Turning it out and turning it down. So it's a bit of a bigger range this time. Got a little bit more movement. The more upright you are, you'll see again, the less I can lift. But with this one, I want to get a little bit more lift. I'm challenging myself by getting more and more upright and seeing what I've got. It's very stiff. It feels quite stiff with being this upright. Again, if I lean further away, no problem at all. It suddenly becomes dead easy. So you've got your options. Choose your own adventure. Oh, and we go last one. Oh, and release and breathe a sigh of relief that that's over. And then we've got the other leg to do. Now, if you did your bad leg first, your bad leg makes it sound like a criminal. If you did your criminal leg first, then this should feel quite nice. Being in this position. All right, so just starting with the back leg, just the lift and lowering. So again, whatever you need to do in order to just pick up your back leg and then place it back down. And again, I'm kind of working my way more and more upright and seeing what I've got. You can lean a little bit further away and see how that feels. Play with what happens when you change your position. It makes such a big impact on just how much range of motion you've got in your hips. It's how your body cheats. Last couple. And last one. And then placing it down. And then just again, checking in. You want your chest sort of in line, if you like. Yep, with your front thigh. Hands wherever makes sense. You see on this side, I can bring my hands outside my legs straight away. Before I was kind of here. So wherever your hands need to be, that you can bring your chest slightly over your front thigh to start with. And then same thing again, I'm going to push down with the knee and the ankle or the whole shin, pushing down into the floor. So using the muscles at the back here to actively press the leg down. And then you're going to back off the press and just bring the chest forward. I'm trying desperately to get my belly button on my thigh rather than my chest to the floor. Couple of breaths, or at least make sure you breathe in. And then same thing again, I'm actively pressing with my front leg down into the floor. And press, 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 press. And then you back off the press. And again, just see if you've got that little bit more range coming forward. The leg's still active. I'm not kind of sagging into this. I'm still pressing a little bit with the front leg. And then slowly walk the hands back. Same thing again, just see if you can, or where you would need to be to pick up your entire front leg. And then place it back down. And you should find this muscle on the inside, or muscles kind of fires up here. So that when you cross your arms over your chest, see if you can find those muscles. And you might not be able to. Your brain just might not be able to talk to them. It's not often you do that movement, or ever. But you're trying to find those muscles again as you bring the chest forward. So I feel the stretch at the back, because I'm in this position, but I'm trying desperately. It's almost like I'm trying to lift this leg off the floor, but all of it, not just the knee part. Yeah, trying to lift it all up. Obviously, it won't lift. If your brain's just kind of going, I can't connect to that muscle, don't worry about it. You're still working here. I'm sure you can feel that anyway. And then back off, coming all the way back up. Again, whatever you need to, just loosen that tension off. If you need to have a bit of a jiggle and a rotate, that's absolutely fine. And then we come back to our back leg. I don't know why I've got a problem with this back leg concept. So same thing, we're going to keep the knee on the floor and we're going to pick up the ankle. You start further away if you wish and just see, you can see how on this side, my whole pelvis wants to lift as I lift the leg up. So I'm going to try and keep my pelvis anchored. It's not sitting it back because I won't be able to lift at all. Just going to bring the hip up as much as I need to be able to just get my foot off the floor at the back. And you may or may not be actually see that. Could lean further away and give it more, or I could be more upright and really make it work. So I'm trying to control it. So I'm lifting it off the floor, but I'm trying to control it down. So if I said to you, sort of, you could lift on one, up, and then hold, and it'll slowly work its way back down to the floor. Lift. And then it's almost like you're slowly failing, I suppose. Lift. Couple more. And last one, lift. And release. And then we're going for the whole leg again. So same thing, wherever you need to be to get that leg off the floor. And then if you can get more upright, do. Keep the thigh where it is, straighten leg, bend it back in, lower it down. So we lift, straighten, bend, lower. Think about this front knee. If you can press it down, it's amazing how sneaky it is, creeping up on you. And lower, a couple more like that, up, out, back, down, up, out, back, and down. Oh, keeping the foot anchored, lifting the knee up. So again, the more sort of away from things you are, the more range you're going to get. You can be more upright, be a bit more focused in the hip joint itself. Your choice. I'm going to go as upright as I can on this side. See what I've got. Same thing again, I'm still trying to keep this front knee under control. It's amazing how sneaky it is. Up and down, last two. And last one. And release. Just come into, or onto, all fours, big toes together, sink your hips back, let the shoulders relax down into the mat. Just take a couple of deep breaths there. You can rock from side to side. You know, I'm just shuffling my hips from side to side, just releasing off some of that tension. Because the next bit's not that easy either. And then we come to, I like this position, or I like the name of it. It's called a bear sit. And it's probably the only time where, you know, they give one of these movements or these positions an animal name, and I actually think it looks like the animal. But if you can imagine a bear, you know, like they do, they're just big grizzly bear. So your knees, you're not quite straddle, you're wide, not quite as wide as you can go. So there's relative comfort. And then you're bending the knees as much as you need to be able to get hold of your ankles. That's the starting point. The elbows should be on the inside of your knees. And we're going to passively press the elbows into the thighs and take the knees wide, like you're opening a book. Always a good time to check that you've not got a hole in the crotch of your leggings, which happens. It does happen. Charlotte will know that from the studio. The amount of time you go, oh God. All right, so I'm still pressing out with the elbows. It's a very passive stretch at this moment in time. And then we're going to release the ankles. So your hands are going to come away. You're going to try and keep your knees still pressing out. So I've gone passive, pressed out with my elbows as far as I can. And now I'm going to have to take over with those muscles at the back of my hips so that I can take my arms away. And I'm going to clench my fists to create some tension. And I'm going to try desperately to stay upright. And I'm using the muscles at the back of my hips and my glutes to pull my knees wider. I'm pulling. They might not be going anywhere, but you're still sending a signal. So open, 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 open. Keep them where they are. Bring your ankles, your hands back onto your ankles and take over again with your elbows. And once you've got your elbows doing the passive stretch, you'll be able to lift up tall again. Yeah, so get your spine up nice and tall. So I'm back to passive, pressing out with the elbows. Not massively, maybe 30-40% total effort. But then this time I'm going to keep my elbows where they are, but I'm going to release my ankles and create fists. So I've got the tension, and then it's like I'm going to try and close my knees like a book. So I'm going to stop the movement with my elbows. So if I show you what I mean, my elbows are still pressing. I'm going to clench my fist to create the tension, and then I'm going to actively close my knees into my elbows, like I'm trying to close my legs like a book. And if you could see, you might be able to see the fact that I'm shaking and quivering. Hello, Morg. Super Morg. And I'm pushing, pushing, pushing. And then I'm going to grab my ankles again. I'm going to stop pushing with the knees, and I'm going to see if I've got any more range to press out into. You might find you've got some, you might find you've not. But usually you will get a little bit wider. Oh. So back to passive, pushing the knees out. And then I'm going to release all that tension. You can give everything a shake. Bring your legs together. Have a jiggle of everything. A jiggle and a wiggle, just loosening the tension, because we're going to come back to it in a minute. There's lots of shoulder stuff to do here now, which isn't particularly pleasant, I have to say. All right, so back to your bear sit position. You can use this now. It doesn't need to be particularly wide. We're just using it as a base position, really, for the stuff that we're going to do with the shoulders. So choose a spot. You can be on your heels if you wish, or your feet can be flat, doesn't matter. But choose a spot where you can be relatively upright through your spine as best you can. Yeah. All right, so shoulder work. So you're going to bring the hands behind the head, and they're just resting one on top of the other, sort of that position. And I'm not pressing in, but they're on my head, but my head is pressing back into my hands. And I'm as upright as I can possibly be. Okay, so from there, you're just going to take your hands straight away from your face backwards. So I'm lifting my hands off my head and squeezing my shoulder blades together. So that should be a lot of work, but it shouldn't be working your neck. It should be working the back of the shoulders. Yeah. From there, you're just going to straighten the elbows into a Y shape. That's it. You're going to turn thumbs down. So I'm internally rotating my elbows. I'm going to drop the hands, but I'm sweeping them back as far as I can go, back, as far away from my spine as I can possibly go. And then I'm going to bend them and bring the backs of my hands all the way up my back as far as I can go. But I'm not crawling up with my hands. Yeah, I'm all the way up. Then you can rest your hands against your back and let your elbows drop forward. Unfortunately, we have to go back. So you're going to pull the elbows backwards like a chicken. This is a tough bit now. To lift your hands away from your back. Oh. Straighten the elbows. The hands come out to the side, still turned down. They're going to come forward this time. They're going to go up. You can turn the hands as they go up. And then they're going to go back behind the head. So we're just altering the arm position each time. So from here, same thing, have a reset. My hands are resting on my head, but our neck's nice and free. Elbows are forward. So relatively resty position. Then we take the elbows back. So there's work now. Then we take the hands away from the head. Ooh, using the backs of the shoulders. We'll do the YMCA, straighten the arms. And turn the thumbs down. And the hands are coming down, but they're going back at the same time. Down and back, 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 as far as you can. Then you bend the elbow. You go as high up your spine as you can before you rest your hands on your back and let your elbows drop forward. You breathe a sigh of relief and think, why are my shoulders so hard to move? We go back, pull the elbows back. I'm going to change it slightly this time. Take the hands off your spine. Straighten the elbows this time behind. Well, say this time behind. Now we're going to keep them back as we come back up. So I'm trying to lift my hands as high up as I can before they have to come out to the side. You'll start to see them now. As they come up, I'm turning thumbs up, thumbs back. I'm back to my Y shape, but I'm reaching back as well as up. Reach back, reach back, reach back. Bend at the elbows, keeping the hands away from the head for as long as possible, and then release back through. I love the fact you both, there was no doing another one, was there? Nick and Charlotte, you both went like that. Oh. I was going to say, right, and again. No, that's me done. I'm done. We've got some repetitions to do of each part. So I'll give you a moment. Surprising how hard that is when you reach, you're getting your full range of shoulder mobility. It's weird how hard it is. Right, so I'm going to break it down slightly. Don't worry, I won't have you here for long. I know it's hard work. So again, whatever you need to do with your legs this time, you just want to be in a position. If you want to fold them and come up, that's okay. Kind of come out of that straddle position for a moment. We've done tons with the hips. Right, we all okay? Yeah, we're good. Okay, let's do it. So same thing again, hands behind the head first. Nice and relaxed to start with. So just to begin with, taking the elbows wide. So I'm trying to reach the tips of my elbows out to the side, but also back behind me. So that should be work in and of itself, yeah? Then you take the hands away from the head. So I'm trying to take my hands, I'm going to come to the side so you can actually see what I'm doing at the back here. So my elbows have come back, and now my hands have come away from my head, neck still free. Hands back on head, hands away from head, hands back on head. Now I'm doing that, pulling the hands away by bringing the shoulder blades together and my elbows backwards. So I'm just pulsing, trying to get my hands as far away from my head as I can, but using my shoulders. So it's that end range mobility again. We've just done all this with the hip lifts. Same thing with the shoulders. You're going to take the arms back and hold, and then you're going to straighten into that Y position. Now I'm reaching back. I'm not just going out to the sides. I'm pulling back. So there's tons of work in the backs of the shoulders. Bend back in. Do not touch your head. Straighten into your YMCA position. Bend it back in. Straighten. Bend. Straighten. Bend. Straighten and hold. Keep the arms where they are. And then we're going to internally, externally rotate. So you're going to internally rotate, take the thumbs down, externally rotate the thumbs back, internal thumbs down, external thumbs back. Trying to keep the Y shape. If you're looking, I can see you guys, I can see me as well, creeping down. You know, don't let them creep down. Keep them up there. You're still pressing back. That's the miserable bit. Oh, is anybody else sweating? Is it just me who's miserable? I hope it's not just me who's miserable. I like to pass on the misery. Last one, and you're going to sweep the hands down. You're going to come behind, and they're nice and straight. Should be a little bit of a relief there, but really pull your shoulder blades together. Pull, 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 trying to bring the backs of my hands together. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Hold for 3, for 2, and for 1. And you can release there and let your entire body slump in utter relief. Oh, wiggle, slump, whatever you need to do to release that tension off again. I was going to torture you with a shoe today, but I figure by this point you might have lost the will to live. So we're going to go into a straddle stretch without any kind of prop. You'd be glad. At some point I'll get a shoe and we'll do it with a prop, but for now, let's just go straddle. So, but this, you know, in this position, it doesn't get more end range than this. I'm talking about end range a lot today, but you know, end range is the extent of the flexibility that you currently have, or the mobility that you currently have, which is all well and good. But we then want to challenge into that next bit of extra, or we want to build strength in these positions. So I'm going to work with the left leg first. Let's try to think the best way of doing it. In fact, let's, I don't know, we should be fine. I'm going to work with the right leg first. You're going to come back. You're actually going to lean back slightly. You're going to have to. The more upright you are, again, the more difficult it is. So you're leaning back slightly, however much you need to. And we're coming into that bear position. So my right leg, I want to lift it off the floor. Then bend it in and we're back to that bear sit, right? My hands, I'm actively pushing with my hands into the floor, a bit like crab, yeah? So if I was here, I could do a crab. So I'm pushing my hands into the floor, spreading the floor, and I'm going to lift the other leg and bend it in. Kind of a squat position, really, isn't it? Same thing, right leg, lift it up first, take it out to your straddle. Left leg, keep pushing the floor away with the hands, and the opposite foot, lift and take it out. Right leg, lift, bend it in, left leg, bend it in. This is your last one. Up first, then out, up and out. And again, just have a wiggle before we get to the next bit. So lifting and bending is one thing. It's a relatively short thing to lift. Lifting with a long leg takes it to a whole different level, right? So again, you'll have to play with your position. We're going to work on the right leg. So I'm going to bring my left hand inside, my right hand outside. So I've got something to push the floor away. I could literally lift myself up, but I'm going to use that to keep me upright. Lifting the front leg or the right leg. Ah, and release it back down. Well done. So lift and lower. And you might get cramp. If you get cramp in the quad, bend it by all means, or in the hip, come out of it, whatever you need to do. But otherwise, lift and lower, staying up as high, as tall as you can. Lift and lower. One more on this side, lift and release. And you're going to bend that leg and just drape your body over. Nothing spectacular here. Good. And then release. And we go to the other side. So same thing again, plant the hands. I know, again, like I said, this side is my slightly less than awesome side. So I'm guessing that I'm going to need to lean back slightly in order to get that leg off the floor. The same thing, pressing down with the opposite leg, pressing down with the hands, spreading the floor away, lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Lift and lower. One more. And down. And then bend it in. Same thing, just drape your body over that thigh. Give it a break. Oh. And release. Coming back out to your straddle position, just briefly. As wide as you can comfortably go. I'm going to aim for circles this time, which means you're going to take it up and hover. So I know that for me being this close to my leg, I can't get it off the floor. So I'm trying to find a position where I think not only can I get it off the floor, but I can hold it there and circle. Yeah. So it's bloody hard work. It's a lot of strength work for your hip flexors and stuff. Amazing for you, but because we're in this awkward position, it makes it really tough. So choose your position wisely, choose your adventure. Same thing, keep as tall as you can, lift the leg up, point the toes, and little circles about the size of a tennis ball. Not going to be here long, circle the other way. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. And again, if you need to just bend and drape, you can. Just loosen off the quad and then release and we go to the other side. So same thing again, choose your adventure with the hands, keep the spine as upright as you can, pointing the toes. We lift the leg up and then we go 5, 4, 3, it's a triangle on this side, and reverse 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Well done, and bend in. Notice how we're not doing very many. A lot of work. And release. And got one more to do in this straddle position. So we're coming back to that idea of external and internal rotation of the thigh bone. So you're going to cue like big toe and little toe. So rolling out, you take your little toe to the floor, and rolling in, you take your big toe to the floor, right? But the movement itself is not coming at the foot. The movement is coming from the whole leg turning, right? So let's do the right leg first. So in fact, you can hold it. I mean, that's my way of kind of making sure that I'm actually not cheating just with the foot. I'm actively turning my leg in as far as it will go. Internal rotation, trying to keep the rest of me still and lifted. And then it's almost get back to that idea of fighting for some more. Have you got any more? 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 And then release the knee, comes back to the ceiling, toes come back to the ceiling. And then we're going out the other way. So little finger, little toe, but it's the thigh bone that's moving. Trying to encourage just that little bit more rotation out of my hips. So if you've got any more, wring it out, wring it out, wring it out. And then release the knee and the foot, come back towards the ceiling, and you can give it a wiggle. And then we look at the other side. So same thing, let's go a little toe out. Encouraging as much external rotation as we can. See if you've got any more, any more, any more. And then slowly release back to center. And then we'll go in big toe, turning the knee and the thigh bone down and trying to keep the rest of the pelvis still. Ideally, we want this to turn in as much as we can. It's internal rotation that we kind of lose first. So I'm desperately just trying to wring it out, wring it out, wring it out. And then slowly releasing back up. And then from there, just lean back and loosely. But I'm loosely rolling my thigh bones at the thigh bones. So my feet are going because they're attached, but it's definitely coming from here as I roll to release, as opposed to this, which is just my feet. Looks like I'm waving with my feet. And then bend the knees and just come into that very loose, and let your pelvis go, whatever needs to happen. So loose windscreen wiper. And then slowly come out of that. And we're coming back onto all fours. Feels like a very long time ago since we're in all fours. And come into a nice long lunge position. So from all fours, step the right foot outside the right hand, and then creep or walk the left foot back until you're in your long lunge position, shoulder on the inside of the knee. And then just as we usually do, keeping the, sorry, not keeping the foot down, working from the foot comes out to the side or turns on its side, and the knee drops outwards. So prying open the hips. And while we're here, if we can, instead of being kind of humped, see if you can lift the chest. And if you need to come up onto your fingers or your fists, you can. I'm lifting the chest as I try and sink the hips down as well. And then planting the left hand, take the right arm up to the ceiling and open to the side. Chest opens. Your back toes can be up or down, your choice. So a nice big twist. Looking up at the top hand. Just breathe and hold. And slowly bring it back. You step the right foot back to all fours and step forward with the left. Again, if you need to walk your right leg slightly further out, you want about vertical shin, or thereabouts at the front. Same thing again, if you need to be on the fingers, just so you can lift the chest slightly, and then we're going to turn the knee out. So back to prying the knee open. I kind of see that, can you? I think you've got it. We've done it quite a lot. And just working with a slightly straighter spine this time. Varying the positions that we get into. A couple more. Last one. And then planting the right hand, twist to the left hand up towards the ceiling, trying to sink the hips down a little bit further as you twist open, chest to the sky. Breathe and hold, breathe and hold. And hands come back down, step back to all fours just briefly before we come back down onto our bottoms. So coming into that piriformis or glute stretch that we did last week. So whichever way you want to do it, you want to fold one leg, you fold in the left leg like me underneath you, and then the right leg crossing over. Looking again for that, the base of the big toe to be on the floor, as well as the opposite or the same, it's the same hip, trying to sink that down to the floor as well. So I'm reaching the base of my big toe down to the floor, and same sit bone, wrapping the elbow around. Opposite hand, your kickstand is touching your body. It wants to be right under your butt cheek so that you're lifting the spine and staying nice and upright. That hand's far away, you'll finish up collapsing backwards. So just taking it into the stretch, rotating around and breathing. And pull the knee towards the opposite shoulder with the crook of your arm. And then slowly unravel yourself, and then just taking the hands the opposite side, a bit like if you were doing all fours position, and then twisting the body round. The chest is pointing, hopefully, between the hands, thereabouts. And then you're just going to bend the elbows and take the chest down towards the floor. You can play with your hand position if you feel like you need to be a little bit wider, if you want to go a little bit deeper. It's like I said, play with your hand position. See how low you can go. And push the floor away. And come back up, and then we're going to switch sides. So fold the right leg in, cross the left leg over. Same thing here, reaching the base of the big toe down, just on the outside of my knee. Trying to drop my right hip, left hip down to the floor, wrapping the arm around, kickstand the hand at the back. So you can spiral upwards as you twist, so you stay nice and tall. And breathe. Keep working at pressing the base of the big toe down and the hip. And then when you're ready, unravel yourself. Bring the hands down, about as wide as the mat. And then taking the chest towards the floor. And you realize again, you've got one slightly awesome side and one not so awesome side. Wider. And then gently push the floor away, coming back up nice and tall. Unravel the legs. And we are done. I cannot believe, where has this month gone, by the way? It's blown past. How are we doing? Are we all right?
Yeah.
Stop the recording. No, you're welcome, Nick. No problem at all.